Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday night training. We're going to jump right into it tonight. What I'm going to talk about is the sales presentation for one-on-one sit-down for college funding. This is to sell an IUL product to our customers that are going to save for college funding. The reason why we use this product, we use the IUL product, Indexed Universal Life, is because it doesn't count against them on their FAFSA form when they're applying for financial aid. So it's step one of our three-step process, saving in the right type of account, saving the right type of way in order to have good growth while you are growing your funds. You can have tax-free distributions when you're going to pull money out to pay for college, or through the cash flow feature. You don't actually pull the money out. You're going to be borrowing from the policy. And the reason we do this is because life products do not count on the FAFSA when calculating expected family contribution. So we're going to start them out with the right foot forward. And this is the presentation that we do before we get into the IUL. It's been called 4 Rules to Investing. It's been called 4 Money Myths. For Wealth Strategies Leadership Group, we've been calling it 4 Money Myths. But it pretty much goes like this. After you've warmed them up and talked to them a little bit, you want to teach them a little bit about money. And there's 4 money myths that we have. Rule number 1 is understanding and working with compounding interest. Compounding interest has been called the 8th wonder of the world by Albert Einstein. He's probably most famously known for E equals MC squared. A great thinker of our time. He created a lot of formulas and figured out a lot of things that have to do with money and math, obviously. So the way the rule works, it's called the rule of 72. Whatever money that you have making interest on something, and I usually use the example of someone's bank account. What are you making in your current bank account at Chase or at Wells Fargo? Like 1/4%, 1/10%? And they usually respond, yeah, nothing, 10%, 1/4%. Well, let's pretend you're the world's best investment banker and you found an account that pays 1%. And you kind of say to them, I like easy math, I use 1%. Even though it doesn't exist, let's pretend you have $5,000 compounding at 1% at your bank. Following the rule of 72, you divide the interest rate that you're making into the number 72. It tells you how long it takes for your money to double. So at 1%, 1 goes into 72, how many times? They reply 72, and you go, yeah, it takes 72 years for $5,000 to turn into $10,000. We only have one lifetime. 1% is not going to cut it. So here's an example. To learn more about compounding interest, there was a grandfather who passed away. He had triplet grandsons, and at the age of his passing, his grandsons were age 29. In his will, he gave them each $5,000, and he told them that they, can't add to the money, they can't take anything away from it. There was a couple of stipulations in it, and they have to put the money in an account, an interest-bearing account. Well, the first grandson found an account that pays 4% interest. Well, following our rule of 72, divide interest rate into 72 to get to the number of years it takes for your savings to double in value. Well, 4 goes into 72, and I'm pointing at the screen while I'm showing this, 18 times. So the money doubles every 18 years. So at age 29, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. The second grandson found an account that pays 8%. Well, you automatically think in your head, I'm making twice as much interest, I must make twice as much money. But it's more powerful than that. So 8 goes into 72, 9 times. So at age 29, $5,000, the money doubles every 9 years, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $40,000, $80,000. You can see that's 4 times as much. The last grandson found an account that paid 12%. 12 goes into 72 6 times. The money doubles every 6 years. 5,000, 10,000, 20, 40, 80, on 60, $320,000. So it was the same amount of starting capital, 5,000, same amount of time, age 65, small change in interest rate. That's a huge change in the dollar amount in your retirement account or in your savings account for college. So compounding interest, you need to understand how that works. Now, the second rule, does anyone know who this person is? Or are you always asking, do you know who this is? There's only 2 things for sure in life. They are what? That's right, death and taxes. That's right. 2 of the rules have to do with taxes. It's very, very important when saving for money, is taxes. So the very first rule, or the very second rule, the first one I do with taxes, is you want to grow your money tax deferred. Grow your money tax deferred. You can write that down. So ways of doing that. You've heard of a 401k, correct? Right, okay, a 401k. There's 7,000 pages, about 7,000 some odd pages in the tax code. Page 3,600 and something is called tax code 401k. That basically means if you're an employee, you can actually open up a retirement account or a savings account or a type of a retirement account. And when you actually fund it and the profits are made, we do not tax the profits on an annual basis. You defer them to later, kick the can down the road. So it's called a tax deferred account. If you're a fireman, a teacher, or a nurse, or a police officer, that's tax code 403B. It's a couple pages down. If you're self-employed, that means that you are not employed by somebody else. So the type of account would be an IRA or an individual retirement account. So an IRA, those are the types of accounts that grow tax deferred. Why is it important to grow tax deferred? Let's take an example. The account on the left is a non-taxable account. It's like a 401k, a 403b. It's like an IRA. And the account on the right is a taxable account. And an example of a taxable account is your checking account at the bank. A CD, a certificate of deposit. Those are taxed every year. And on the taxable account side, we're going to tax that at 28%. Because everybody, kind of figures out how to pay 28% in taxes on average. So the account on the left is non-taxed, the account on the right is taxed. We're going to start with $1 in each account. So on the non-taxed account side, if you have $1, and we're going to have a 100% rate of return, so it's going to double every year. Again, I like easy math. 100% rate of return doesn't exist, but $1 after 1 year is $2, $4, $8, $16. At the end of 20 years, you have $1,048,000 in change accumulated. You still owe tax on that money. Okay, on the taxable account. In year one, if you start with $1 in year one, the profit is $1, 100% rate of return, but we're going to tax that profit by 28 cents. So 28%, $1. So it leaves 72 cents. So it's $1.72 instead of $2. You double it and tax it. $2.96, double and tax at $5.09. At the end of 20 years, you have $51,000 in change. Now you own that money free and clear, but you would much rather have the $1,048,000 and no tax on it, right? It makes sense. So you want to grow your money tax deferred. The very next slide, we actually leave blank on purpose because this reminds me of a story. It's very, very important to grow your money tax deferred, but it's even more important, rule number 3, write this down, you want to pull your money out tax-free. Pull your money out tax-free. You can do that with a Roth IRA. You've heard of a Roth IRA? You can do that with an IUL. So as the story goes, there's a farmer. We'll call him Farmer Ted. He's got a big bucket of seed, and he's getting ready to plant his crop. And the tax man rolls up and says, "Excuse me, Farmer Ted, I need to tax that seed." Like everybody, he doesn't want to pay taxes. He's like, "Hey, can we do something about this?" The tax man says, "I'll do you a favor. We'll come back later and settle us." He says, "Great." He takes his whole bucket of seed and he plants his crop. Well, 8 months later, his crop has come in. He has corn as far as the eye can see. He is very, very happy. Who rolls up the driveway even happier is the tax man, because now he gets to tax the whole entire crop instead of just a bucket of seed. So did he really do him any favor? And the answer, no, not at all. Absolutely right. You ask any farmer, would they rather pay tax on the seed or on the crop? They'll tell you on the seed. So what that means to us in the investment world is we want to use after-tax money to invest. So when we pull the money out, it can be used tax-free. Very, very important. Pull your money out tax-free, something to learn. Rule number 4. I met a man at a young age. I was age 18 when I met him. He wasn't young. His name is Warren Buffett. Have you heard of Warren Buffett before? Some call him the Oracle of Omaha. He's like 85, 86 now. He owns Berkshire Hathaway. Presidents of countries, presidents of Fortune 500 companies all want to sit down and talk with him and get his perspective on what's going to happen with the market, because he's so knowledgeable about it. And I did meet him at a young age, and I was living in Australia at the time, and we would fly in big name Americans to come and talk and present to us. I was very, very lucky with the institute I was working that I got to meet him in person, and I bought a book of his called The Warren Buffett Way. It's in the 4th edition now. It's been around for a long, long time. But Warren Buffett has 2 rules for investing. They're very, very important, and he teaches this. And rule number 1 is our rule number 4. So write this down. Never lose money. Rule number 2. See rule number 1, never lose money. And I put an exclamation point and underline it. I could be an oracle. I could write a book on this. So never lose money strategy. The way that you can do that is with a product called indexing. So the way indexing works is it allows you to participate in the profits in the stock market when the market goes up, and then it locks in, and you do not participate in the losses when the market goes down. Now, when we're talking about the stock market, most people think of the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You've probably heard that on the TV. Oh, the Dow was up today, the Dow was down today. What the Dow Jones Industrial is the top 30 stocks, the top 30 industrial stocks. So it's a small basket of stocks. What investors look at, and the rest of the world looks at, is a broader market. It's called the S&P 500, the Standard & Poor's 500. That's the top 500 stocks. So when 400 out of those 500 stocks go up and 100 go down, well, the S&P is up for the day. When 400 go down and 100 go up, the S&P is down for the day. So they track that market. Okay, now if I told you with the indexing product, you can never lose money. It has a floor, and the floor is 0%. I don't care what happens in the market. Market can tank, it can drop, it can go down. Your floor is 0. Your money is always safe. 0 is the lowest you can go. Now, anything that has a floor has a what? And you point up to the top and they go, a top, a ceiling? That's correct. Yeah, in the investment world, we call it a cap. And I write down 0/12.5%. I said, right now, there's things that have a 12.5% cap. So with that S&P 500 for the year is up 10%, well, you make 10% on your entire account. The market's up 12%, you make 12% on the account. The market's up 15%, you make 12.5%. Market's up 18%, you make 12.5%. That's your cap. But here's the trade-off, and this is what really, really matters. When the market is down 10%, you don't lose anything. When the market is down 38.5%, like it was a few years back, you don't lose a penny. So you live in that 12.5% world. And in the last 5 years, and I write down 5 years, this strategy between the 0 and 12.5% has performed 9.08% over the last 5 years. Over the last 15 years, 8.6%. Over the last 30 years, 7.6%. And I write those down. So it has really good rates of return. But the key part is there's no risk at all because you never have the ability to lose any money whatsoever. So it's nice growth without having any risk. Then I write over down on the left-hand side of the sheet of paper that I'm drawing on and showing them, and I write down the number $100,000.
Hey Brian, your screen is there we go.
Yeah, I know the screen was black on purpose. Sorry guys. So then I write down $100,000. Well, I write down $100,000. And I show them something, and $100,000, if the market were to drop 10% and you were invested in the S&P 500 or mutual fund or, the stock market with unlimited risk, unlimited profit potential, and the market drops 10%, you have $90,000 in your account. If you have the indexing strategy, you still have $100,000 in your account. Pop quiz. If the market were to drop 50% in that $100,000 account, in your mutual fund account, what percent does the market have to go back up in order for you to break even? And they scratch their head and they usually say 50%. Some of them will say 100%. And you go, hey, I made a cheat sheet for you. If you lose 50%, what gets you back to break even is 100%. But more important, the average time it takes to get back to break even is 6.5 years. At 6.5 years, your money could have been slowly compounding over time and growing your account rather than just getting back to break even. So that's an important part. So then I show them a graph, and in the slide that we have, I think the one that's on the website, it doesn't have the yellow line, that's been taken out. But I have this one, and I tried to look for the other one, so I apologize. But I show them in the year 1996. You look at the blue line first. That's a fixed return of 2%, something that's safe and secure, right? Something that a bank could offer. If the market was a little better, it does get up to 2% on certain products, but slow and steady. But if we follow our rule of 72, 2 goes into 72 36 times. So your 100 grand would take 36 years to turn into 200 grand. We don't have that kind of time. So then we look at the red line. Now the red line indicates unlimited profit potential, unlimited risk, right? And we chose this particular snapshot because from 1996 for the next 3 years, it was some of the greatest explosions in the S&P and the stock market ever that we've had. And so we show them, look, in those 3 years, that market jumped, and your money doubled in 3 years. That's pretty much unheard of. But what happened right after that? The market went down, down, down. So it's boom or bust, right? So the market was up after that. It had a nice rebound. And then in 2007, 2008, look at the big giant drop. Boom, it dropped again. And then the market's been up again. Guess what's getting ready to happen again? And they'll tell you, yeah, a drop. And you tell them, in your lifetime, it's going to have this cycle over and over again. The market continues to repeat itself. What if it happens just before your kid's about to go to college? What if you had the right amount of money saved up, you had the perfect plan, you've been putting your money away diligently, and just before it's time for them to go to college, the market drops, the bottom falls out. There's like a slug in the stomach, and you've been working years and years to save that money. So the type of strategy that we're talking about with indexing is the light blue line. So in the year 1996, even when the market in the S&P was having those booms, we were capped at 12.5%. It had some nice growth. So you sit for 3 years. But when that market came crashing down, we didn't lose a penny. It went sideways. And so when the market had a big rebound after the crash, we made our 12.5% again. Slow and steady. When the market crashed in 07, 08, look at that. It went sideways. And the market's up. So this way, when you have a strategy that never loses, you never have the fear that it could all be taken away from you in a moment's notice. So that's why indexing, the never lose strategy, is very, very important. Also, this is an example of the S&P 500 that actually took place in year 2000. And in the account on the left, the very first account you see starts with $100,000, and it is unlimited profit potential, unlimited risk, just like your mutual fund or S&P 500. And the account on the right is the indexing strategy on the S&P 500. In this example, we have a cap of 15%. So in the year 2000, the S&P 500 was up 14.82%. So each account gained $14,820. So in the year 2001, year 2002, 2003, the market was down, down, down. So the mutual fund account lost down to $68,000. The indexing strategy didn't lose. You still have $114,820. Now, the year 2004, when there's after a big drop, it's usually a rebound, it's up 26.38%, but it's up 26.38% on a smaller dollar amount, on $68,000. The other account is capped at 15%, but it had nice gains, and it's 15% on $114,000. So dollar for dollar was about the same gain. 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008 were across the board for both accounts, 8.99%, 3%, 13.62%, 3.53%. But just before your child's about to go to college, 2009, down 34.12%, the big giant drop. So this account has $57,593. The indexing strategy, the never lose strategy, the save strategy still has $174,365 in the account. So same market, S&P 500, same starting capital, 100,000, same amount of time, different strategy. The different strategy of indexing is going to take out those big giant busts, and it's going to cap off your booms a little bit, but in the long run, it always pays off. This is your safe, secure money that's going to be there for you. And when you're planning for college and you're planning for retirement, either one, you can't have that risk. You can't have this be your risk capital and go for boom or bust. This is the way to do it. So I also close on this, and I tell people that this isn't an actual rule of mine out of the 4 rules for investing, the 4 myths of money. But one of the things that I also have realized is that life happens, and it's going to happen to half of the people you sit down in front of. Something's going to come up that's going to throw you life's going to throw you a curveball, and you're going to need to get to your money. Well, if you're saving in a 529 plan, you can't really just get to your money. There's penalties for not spending it on college. Let's say you need a new roof on your house. Let's say you have an emergency, your heating and air conditioning goes out. You need $10,000 immediately, and you don't have an extra account. Well, if you go into your college 529 plan and went to take that money, you're going to be penalized for it, because the IRS the government puts these great accounts there in order for retirements or for college. And if you don't follow by their rules, they're going to penalize you. So I like to find accounts that if you need to get to your money for whatever reason, you're not penalized for doing so. You don't have to come up with a dire need in order to qualify to get money or to not be penalized. If you need your money, you can just go and get it. So that's a caveat that I throw out there, that when I do my homework and I look for accounts that follow all those 4 rules, understanding and knowing compounding this interest, the difference between 4% and 8% isn't twice as much, it's 4 times as much. Growing your money tax deferred is very, very important, because if you tax your profits, it's not true compounding. Pull your money out tax-free. Getting money tax-free, we all love tax-free, is way, way, way valuable when you're actually using the money for college or for retirement. It's much, much more valuable than paying tax on. Everyone loves tax-free. And learned from Warren Buffett, never lose money. You can do that with indexing. You can also do it with a fixed account. You can go fixed at 2%. We can find you that kind of stuff, but you're not going to get any kind of growth. So it's important to have never lose strategy, but never lose with the proper type of growth. The good product out there that I found is an index product that has a cap of 12.5%. So we follow those rules, and we also try to find an account that if you need to get to your money, you're not penalized for it. So those are the things. Let me go and do my homework and come back with you with a product that I think could best suit your needs. I don't represent just one company. I'm independent. I work with 30 different companies. There's many companies out there to choose from for different products. The reason why is I realized early on, if you are a construction worker and you have a toolbox, and you've got a hammer in that toolbox, that's the only tool that you have. Everything looks like a nail. And I tell them this, and they get it. They're like, if I just worked for one company, I just worked for Allianz, or I just worked for AXA, I just worked for Oppenheimer, or if I MetLife, I would tell you that my product is the best. And then you're selling a product, you're not really fulfilling a need. So after sitting down with you and gathering information and hearing what you're attempting to do, the best product could be with this company for you. The best product for somebody else at a different age with a different sort of strategy might be this product. And that's why we're approved with over 30 different companies, and we're not going to push a product. I'm going to really suggest a company that has a product that will fulfill your needs and fulfill your goals to save money over the next 14 years for little Johnny to go to college. So that's the story, and it's used when you're talking with retirement people. It's used when you're talking with college funding people. It's the first part of the presentation. The second part of the presentation will follow, and we'll do a presentation on that probably next Tuesday. It's usually called the open and the close, but really all the work is done right here on this portion of it. If you set the table right, you're pretty much coming back to them with a solution, and it's really just how much do I need to save for my retirement? How much do I need to save for my 2 kids to go to college or my 1 kid? And you do the numbers backwards and you work your IUL to let them know how much they need to save on a monthly or annual basis in order to achieve their goals. That's it for tonight, everyone. I appreciate you listening, and this will be on the website in the coming days. And those of you who need it sooner, I believe there's a few of you out there, shoot me a text and I'll email you the link after it downloads. It takes an hour or so, but I could get this to you this evening. I recommend hearing it a couple of times and practicing it on some friends. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.